Yeah. Hometown.
Yo, we kicking it live. Vince and Stevie D, OWSports Podcast is the place to be. Bills Mafia, repping the red, white, and blue. No doubt with Josh Allen, just stand up and shout. Gang Green, coming with that New York flair. Jets in the mix, you know they taking it there. The rivalry is fierce, but they keep it 100. Legends in the making, pressure never stunted. From MetLife to Highmark, bright lights when the night's dark. Touchdown, dream, steel beams, leave a big spark. Bills and Jets, we clash on the field, but on this podcast, we keep it sealed. Respect for the game, we all in the zone. Vince and Stevie D, we holding our own. So tune in tight, don't miss a beat. OW Sports, where the real ones meet. Sit back.
It's OW Sports, the fastest growing podcast about the Buffalo Bills and New York Jets. You get the best takes, the most engaging interviews, and they are always keeping it real. So sit back, relax, and get ready to talk some NFL. Now here's your hosts, Vince and Stevie D.
And welcome back to another edition of Official Word Sports. Do you know what today is, Stevie D?
Yeah, I do.
What is today? If you say hump day.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to complain about that, but it's our last show of the season.
It is. It is the season finale of OW Sports Podcast Season 8. What a ride.
It's hard to believe
Right.
It's been 8 years. I mean, when you think of how this has transformed from year one, from different co-hosts that has come in and out. What's up, Rob? That have come in and out, to the different set changes, to the different types of how we broadcast it and everything. It's crazy. 8 years. 8 years. Wow.
Yeah. But I thought this was the special year. I thought this was it. When we started this season, I was like, oh, it is magical. It is magical. Everything was right there. It was in the palm of our hands. And now I just want to wash it all away. Get that stink off of us.
It's like 31 teams want to brush that off, right? Start anew.
You know, it's funny you say that. I was talking to somebody, and I was trying to tell them, if you're not first, you're last. It doesn't matter if you were the first team to be last, or if you're the Patriots, you're still last, right? And this one just stung. This season stung. It did. Hey, Lou, how are you? Rob says next season's schedule is brutal. You know, and maybe that's a good thing, right? Maybe that's what we need, is to, not look at the schedule and say, well, we can win that, and we can win that, and got this at home. And it just doesn't matter. Just throw it all up, and you just take it as they come. All right. But Stevie D, before we get into that, and that's really how we're going to start next season, right, is starting to look at schedules. And, we haven't set the start date, so we'll make sure that we have a lot of posts out there. My man Stevie D is killing it with the posts that are going out there. Jets Hanger, OW Sports. So we'll be sending you guys some updates as to when we start season 9. But we need to finish season 8. And we finished season 8 by talking about Super Bowl 60. How do we do this, Stevie D? Before we get to the game, we all know the outcome at this point, right? If you don't know the outcome, I don't know why you're watching this podcast. But going into this game, I did not feel as though the Patriots had been tested in the playoffs. And I didn't feel as though, I'm not going to say they weren't deserving, because at the end of the day, they were the last man standing on top of that hill for the AFC. But it just didn't feel like they earned it, I think is the way I want to put it. It didn't feel like they earned it.
Well, they didn't go through murderer's row to get there, right?
Good way.
I
Yep.
think maybe that's part of the reason why you felt that way. And to your credit, you said it for weeks, right? Like the schedule, they didn't face daunting offenses, right? The AFC Championship game, You went up against a quarterback that hasn't thrown a pass in 2 years, right? And you barely got past that game. And you paid the Texans and really C.J. Stroud and that offense all out of sorts, right? Not a big deal there. And I forgot who they played in the first round. They had another really good defense.
The
Chargers. Chargers had a good defense this year, but Herbert, right? They immediately fired their offensive coordinator at the end of the year for offense, right? So when you think about the Patriots defense did what they needed to do to stop the offenses of the other team, and Drake May only had to put up 10 points a game to get to the Super Bowl? I mean, think about that, right? So, and you really saw, and credit to you because you saw it and you talked about it. Not that you were trying to dog the Patriots, even I know you can't stand the Patriots, but you were, in all fairness, when talking football, you said Drake May and that offense leading into the playoffs were not very good, and they really got there on the back of their defense. In fairness, right? You saw, I mean, Drake May was second MVP voting. He played well against really bad football teams, and when you went up against teams with more of that elite defense, you didn't see the Patriots offense clicking like they did when they played lower end teams, bottom feeders. So
and that's fair, right? That's fair. We saw really the slide in the second half of the season for them. There's a lot of hype. I think a lot of the hype that we saw for the Patriots this year was hype based off of what was during the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era, and people, definitely the Boston fans, they're holding on to that, right? And so I think the media, though, as well, they just wanted to anoint them and say, holding them up like they're back, and they weren't back. But we're going to dissect this game because even when they got to the big stage, we saw some things that were very uncharacteristic of what we knew of the Patriots in the past, right? You have to figure, only thing that's the same is the owner. They did bring back some, like McDaniels came back and things like that, but really this is a new team than what we saw before in their run. And the other thing that I found funny was that everybody was calling this the revenge game. Revenge for what? Right? What kind of revenge do we have? Russell isn't on the field to atone for his gaffe, and revenge for Russell throwing the pick to Malcolm Butler.
There's nobody left from that team.
Exactly.
Maybe the GM is the only guy in the building because the owner's no longer. The owner died, right?
Right.
Al Hicks. What's up, my man?
So what revenge do we have? But
maybe Sam for the ghost comments. Maybe he's got revenge there, right? Exercise the demon.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So, all right, let's go ahead and just jump right into this game. If you need a no-dose, because we want you to stay with us throughout this. And hey, Sandra, how are you? Welcome. We want you to stay throughout this podcast, but when I tell you it was a snooze fest, DVD.
Well, yeah. if you're like the kicking game by one team, if you're into field goals, I mean, it was exciting, I guess.
So I could see it early on where it was a battle of field position. I get that, right? And it you thought you had the makings of a heavyweight fight, right? You watch boxing. If Johnny was here, he would tell you, right? When you have those championship fights, the first round, the second round, you're kind of feeling out your opponent, throwing a few jabs here, not taking any chances early. And that's what this game felt like. It was punt, change field position, punt, change field position. Just nothing was going there. But some things started to stand out. And I'm going to take it from the New England side's DVD.
Okay.
First of all, we saw Will Campbell was absolutely being abused. Just being abused. But we also saw Drake May, where you could almost, I don't watch him enough to look at his expression. You know how you talk about Eli's kind
Right.
of expression? Drake had the expression like where the lights were just all on him and he was trying to keep his composure, but it was getting big, right? He was like, oh boy.
Yeah, it was like Tony Eason against the Bears in the 80s. Tony
That,
Eason was
that
totally overwhelmed by everything. And once it started snowballing, he couldn't, that defense took over. It was like, what? And they had to pull him, right?
and that's exactly a comparison I was given during that game. It was just, it seemed like it was too much. And then you start watching some of his passes, right? And I'm not going to say that it wasn't true as far as the shoulder injury. I'm not going to say that, but you could hear the excuses starting to come out, right? Well, he didn't get the shot here, or he got the shot there, didn't do this, right? He was on the injury report and he was off the injury report. So either you're playing games by taking him off, or he really wasn't hurt, right? But then you saw the passes, and they were high, they were low. His clock was accelerated. Now, yes, your left tackle, again, is being abused, but he had time in the pocket, Stevie D. There were times that I was counting. Don't ask me why, but, I'm like 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4. And by the time I got to right around 4, 1,000, you see him start to step up in the pocket. It's not like everybody was coming at him. But then when it came time for him to deliver the ball, his mechanics were off. Everything was off. And it was like you're pressuring yourself, which means that the moment is too big for you. Right. And so we started to see a pattern of that for him. We also saw, right, you're going up against a great defense. And when you go up against a great defense, you have to be smarter than that guy on the other side of the field. And that's where I put the onus on Josh McDaniels. Okay? Because Josh McDaniels has been in this situation before. He was able to coach an offense, yes, led by Brady, but led by Brady. But look at the weapons that he had. Aside from Randy Moss for a few years, look at what he had. He had a bunch of nobodies. I'm not talking about the tight ends, but he had a bunch of nobodies. And no disrespect to these guys, because they all played well, right? Even Edelman and Troy Brown and some of the other guys. These are guys that made a career, made a name for themselves that they wouldn't have anywhere else. They really wouldn't have. But the offense that he called allowed them to scheme open underneath, and they used that as their running game. And that's where I saw where McDaniels really failed Drake May, because if you're looking at from either the booth or from the sidelines, and you're looking at your quarterback and you see he's a deer in headlights, you see the defense is stopping your run, so you can't run. What are you going to do? Have them drop back again for another 4 or 5 seconds? Bad mechanics on balls that are 10, 15 yards down the field? Or are you going to say, we got to slow this down? Let's pop some screens. Let's do some mesh routes. Let's do some drags. Let's go over the line, but in front of the linebackers, pick up 4 yards, pick up 5 yards. Let this guy get his momentum and get his confidence going. Stevie D, I can tell you stories. I'd like to dream that back in the day, I was a young Dr. J on the basketball court. In my dreams, me and Mike, we would go one-on-one, and it would be close. It would be close, but usually I came on top. But what would happen, Stevie D, is usually in the beginning, I'm missing everything, right? But what do you do when you can't hit? You get down on the block, right? You go off the backboard, you make those, right? And then as you make those, then you kind of back out a little bit further. Now all of a sudden,
what you did against Jordan?
No. When I played Jordan, that was money from outside.
Okay. I'm just
killing.
Okay.
But it typically, if you're in that game, you want to get the easy ones. Because once you get the easy ones, then you can back up a little bit. And now you start to feel it and you get your confidence to what you know you could do. That's what they should have done for Drake May. Get the confidence going. Get him in the rhythm, as they like to say. Right? Let him put the smile on his face, because we didn't see a smile on his face. Let him get the smile on his face. And even if that turns into a punt, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's go, guys, right? Clapping it up. You go 3 and out and go 3 and out and go 3 and out, right? Or you're sitting back there for 4 or 5 seconds because you're just not processing. And they talk about the game going fast. They talk about when you go from college to the pros, how the game speeds up.
Right.
When you get to this exhibition game, again, I call it an exhibition game. When you get to this exhibition game, you thought the regular season was fast? When you sit there and you think about hundreds of millions of people watching you, you think about being on the biggest stage, you look around and you see all the celebrities, you see all of this, that is just flying, which is why it's so funny when they talk about Joe Montana being in the huddle and pointing out John Candy. That's the greatness. And that's why they talk about that, because it just slowed way down where he just tuned everything out.
Yeah, these are some really interesting points, right? About sometimes you have to come off your script. If you had a script in the beginning and it wasn't working, what adjustments should be Josh McDaniels be making? Because in a comment that you told me when you and I were just talking, after the game, it's you can't wait to halftime to make those adjustments in the game of your life, right? This is it. This is not week 7, I think is what you called it, right? It's not week 7. So
Drake maybe.
What's up? Oh,
Drake maybe.
Yeah. But you can't wait. And like you said, it was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And by then you start to get into a groove and bad things happening because you as an offensive coordinator didn't make the necessary adjustments to help your young quarterback out to get him out of the groove. Even sometimes when they have big pass rushes coming, can you drop a screen, something to help the young man out? And then when it snowballed in that second half, I mean, that defense just overtook the game. And
yeah,
like when New England scored that touchdown, where you could say, well, we had a little hope. Well, they squashed that really quick, right? They squashed that hope really quick, and then the rush took over, and it was like deer in headlights. And I'm not going to lie, I was enjoying it.
Yes, absolutely,
right? I was absolutely enjoying it, and it kind of reminded me, although the score didn't happen this way, it just reminded me of the Bears-Patriots Super Bowl. Because it was a disaster for New England. New England actually, if I remember correctly, in that Super Bowl, didn't play a bad first quarter. Mm-hmm. And it was after that, it was domination by the Bears. And Tony Easton he was taken out of the game in the fourth quarter for Grogan and all neck Grogan, right? That stupid neck roll thing.
Yeah, you go.
Couldn't stand Steve Grogan. There's nothing redeeming about that guy. And they got blown out. So it kind of reminded me a little bit of that because Easton was so young. I thought Josh McDaniels failed the young quarterback with it. But in fairness to New England, you kind of alluded to it. You got all the way there. So from that standpoint, you did a lot. If you're Mike Vrabel, you did a lot as a coach to get your team to that point.
But did you? So this is going to be the question I'm going to debate. And I think there's more pressure on Mike Vrabel now.
Sure, right. Sure, because you made it.
Yes, but
what's the encore?
you have to prove you're worthy, right? Now you get the first place schedule. And people can say, well, it's not the same. Well, you're still playing the tops of each of the divisions. Right, you wanted to sit there. Buffalo was just fine sitting in that seat. You want it? Go have at it. Right. So, we'll see what you do. But
yeah, look, we didn't want a last place schedule, but you know what? That's what we got. So, so I hear what you're saying, right? You guys want to be all big and bad and get your first place and second place, thinking you're all that. You know what? We're going to sit back and take our last place schedule and let's go.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll see. We'll see what he does. I know he got a lot of kudos, and obviously the numbers when you look at the overall win loss. Yeah, that's great. And you made the rise back, right? And I give you credit, for were they 4-13 last year, and kind of flipped the script this year. All right, good. You get a pat on the back, but now what do you do? Because you've been exposed, right? Your quarterback's been exposed. Your left tackle's been exposed. You do have a great defense, and you got that defense to play up. I'm not going to say that Sam and the Seahawks offense could not have played better, because I do think they left some things out there. If I had to compare the two, I would say the Patriots defense played better than the Seahawks defense. But the poor performance from the Patriots offense was really
you can't give the credit to the Seahawks defense for creating that, though.
No. I put the onus on the Patriots in Drake May and Josh McDaniel, because I think if I would have seen them, you can't remember, this is the last game. So you're throwing everything at the wall, right? Everything but the kitchen sink, they say. I didn't see them do that. I saw them very much, this is our game plan. This is what we believe is going to win. And when it didn't work, yeah, but this is our game plan. This is what we believe is going to win.
Well, in fairness, it kind of goes back to what you said about the Patriots going up against top-notch defenses, right? So the Patriots showed what their offense really is against top defenses in the league. And so Seattle, being a top defense in the league, did exactly what people thought they would have done the way New England's been playing offense against elite defenses. So I guess I can see your point where you give more. It's more about the Patriots' lack of being able to move the football, scheme it correctly to get yardage, get points, rather than, yes, the Seahawks defense dominated, but they dominated because the way the Patriots have been running on offense. So it was really easy for Seattle to shut them down, because the trend was New England can't do anything against a top 5 defense offensively, right? Scoring 10 points a game against those elite defenses. So,
but even to that though, Stevie D, not adjusting on the fly, right? One of the things that really annoyed me about the Bills this year is that we would watch them for 30 minutes, be like, you got to change it up. And then they get to halftime, and then they come out and you see a different team. Sometimes it's too late, right? I told you this all the time. This is my biggest fear, is that it was going to be too late for you to make the adjustment. Almost was too late against Baltimore, right? Sorry, Craig.
I don't think you're sorry. I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to call it out. I don't think you're sorry at all. And you know what's great? It's the season finale. So,
right.
You can take that to the offseason as a victory. Sorry, Craig.
I thought I was just going to throw that little scud right in there, and you just picked up on it. Right? But then when you're in this game, there is no tomorrow, right? Whatever cliche you want to use, you can't wait until halftime. You can't wait until the fourth quarter to say, oh, maybe we should do this. You have got to do that in the first quarter, right? The second series, like, all right, well, we tried this, and they're shutting down the outside, or they're shutting the middle. You have got to be as actively, aggressively changing and adjusting to what you're seeing on the other side. That's just my thought there. Stevie D, Kenneth Walker the third.
K9. It's not what they call him, K9.
Yeah,
nickname or something like that.
Oh, don't take it that way, Craig. Come on, man.
Craig, who's your coach anyway? Who? Minter? What's his name?
Jesse's girl.
Who's that coach over there?
I better be careful, because he may say, here's a story.
Yeah.
Man named Brady.
You know that's what he was saying.
All right, Craig, I'll ease up because yeah, that will keep me coming back at me. But when we look at Kenneth Walker, what was interesting, first handoff, he goes for 10. I was like, oh man. And then he was picking up chunks, but you feed the guy, right? And by the time
Somebody stop him.
exactly,
Oh.
by the time we hit halftime, he would have had like 25 carries in my book, right? I'm thinking Tim Smith. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
We're about to see.
Timmy Smith. What a
Yeah.
name to pull out of the hat.
You like that? But I mean, that's because it was one of the greatest running back performances in Super Bowl history, and they kept feeding him the ball, right? Even though, did you know that Williams threw for 300 plus in that game?
Right. I mean, Timmy Smith had what 218 for the game or something crazy like that, and Doug Williams almost threw for 400.
Yes. That's
They
a
killed the
vaunted
Bucs.
Broncos defense coming to play.
That was great. That was great. Just to, John Elway, take that.
But yeah, no, I expected to see him just absolutely go berserk. I think he had though. By the end of the first half, he was 100 yards. I just would have expected a little bit more. Especially, I'm not going to say the lights were too big for Sam.
Sam didn't have a great game. I mean, call it what it is. He threw for 50% completion percentage, right? He hit key passes to guys that were open, right?
But how do I put this? I'm not going to say the lights were too big for Sam, but I will say again that Patriots D, Christian Gonzalez was a man amongst boys out there, and you may say, on some of the plays where he got lucky, right? There was no getting lucky. I mean, those were last second pass breakups, but they were tying perfectly, right? Undercutting the route, getting your hand in there. Hey, outstanding plays. And this hurts me, right? I'm going to have to, when this show is over, I'm going to have to go get some Listerine, and I have to get all of this New England type of love out of my mouth because it hurts.
Rob, I'm just saying now, I'm a little worried. So we may have to do an intervention.
So, but yeah, it's, it was one of those things where I just thought that the Patriots defense really was playing really well. But you can only go so far, right? Stevie D, it becomes one of these things where one side, there's two sides that you need to win. And if the other side isn't pulling their weight and the other side is doing all they can, especially if you're going 3 and out and I'm on the field for 40 minutes, right? At some point, it's going to start to dial back. And I think as, again, a war of attrition, maybe, if you will, that's where you started to really see Seattle take it up. It was just, JSN, getting hurt. First it was an ankle, I think, or a foot injury. Then he had the concussion, right? Just really wasn't there. And I think that also hurt Sam a little bit, right? Because now I don't have to double and triple the receivers that you have out there, right? I can play man up. But they still got it done. They still got it done.
I did feel bad for Kenneth Walker when he had that long run for the touchdown and he got called back on the holding.
Ooh, we're not supposed to talk about that one. Oh boy. Oh boy. So no names will be mentioned in this story here, Steve. Okay. So we're here to protect the innocent. And I ask you to protect the innocent here.
Okay.
However, there was somebody I know that had taken the Seahawks and the over. And I was telling that person, you're okay. You're in good shape. Even though we're in the fourth quarter, I said, things are going to open up, right? And with a big enough lead, you're probably going to get a garbage touchdown from the Patriots, right? That'll help get you closer to that over. Over sitting at 45 and a hook. It was 10 points. The Patriots score. They go for 2. Now it's 4 points. You just need 4 points. All right. Well, you get the onside kick. Plus, there was 2+ change left to go in the game. So you figure with the 2 timeouts that they have, you're good. The Patriots on a 3-and-out will get the ball back. First play, Walker up the middle, -1 yards. Next play, Sam does what kind of bootleg was that, right? Ends up sliding for -5. Then the handoff to Walker. Up the middle, gone. Touchdown. Not only is it a touchdown, not only is it the cherry on the cake, Stevie D, it's the 6 points you need to flip from the under to the over. Particular individual I know is all excited. Never been so excited in their life. And then all of a sudden, what do I see in the middle of the screen? The little yellow circle. There's a flag. And then what's his name? Sean Smith comes on, holding number 61 on the. Oh, man. They talk about bad beats. That was the proverbial bad beat right there. And again, this is not a gambling show, just relaying a story. Again, we're here to protect the innocent, but the story itself was kind of comical. I'm not going to lie. But that's why, kids out there, if you're listening to the podcast,
in TV land, all the kids in TV land. What was
that's
the
right.
name of that movie?
Don't gamble. Don't do it. Right? This is a PSA for all the little kids, all the little Johnnies that are out there. Don't gamble. Save your money. Buy football cards. They still make those?
Yeah. For ridiculous amounts of money. No more 50-cent packs, that's for sure. It's
Then
more
that
like
means
$8.50 a pack.
You got to go gamble in order to go buy the football cards. We're right back to gambling. All right. So Stevie D, we're 30 minutes in to our last show. It's halftime. Halftime. It is halftime of the Super Bowl. Everybody's been talking about it. This is not a political show. I'm going to say that right now. You are right about that, Craig. Craig says, with the dry gum. Remember that gum would just break in half? It was so dry.
How horrible.
This is not a political show. But, guys, the people that are out there complaining, it was, 10 minutes of entertainment. Most of the time during halftime, what do people do? They go get food. They go to the bathroom. Why are we complaining? It's no big deal. I enjoyed it, but I like reggaeton. I'm not going to lie. I love me some reggaeton. Love me some women dancing to reggaeton. Really like that. So, when you want to talk about red-blooded All-American, yes, sir, indeed. Love watching that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think over the last 20 years. Maybe I've watched 6 halftime shows in the last 20 years. I just don't, unless it really piqued my interest because it's an artist or artists that I really grew up watching. I can care less.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't. Well, I know why, right? And again, we're going to stay away from the politics piece of it. But now I don't speak Spanish, which I blame my parents for this because back in 6th grade, I wanted to take Spanish, and my parents wanted me to take French. And then I thought, well, yeah, oui. And so then I thought I had an in because, long story, my parents used to live in Paris. I was like, oh, I'll get all the answers from them, except for they forgot everything that they learned when they were over there. So when it came time for me to use it and to tap on the resource, they're looking at me. So I could have taken Spanish, but
so you were going to use them, but they were going to use you.
Yes, that's how it happened. But so I didn't understand the lyrics, but that's okay. I watched the show. Half the times when you go to a concert, you can't hear the lyrics because at the concert, right? But you watch the show. And I thought the show was really good, right? And then as people were starting to explain it after, certain things you definitely could understand. The setup, right? It showed all about Puerto Rican culture. And, it just made its way through. And, I didn't realize that somebody actually really got married. I thought that was kind of cool. Where he gave his Grammy to that little boy who had gone through that situation. I thought that was cool, right? Where he had climbed the power poles, right? There was a message about that because that's relating back to the power crisis that they're having there in Puerto Rico. I thought that was really cool, right? And all the messages. And the messages, again, not able to understand all the lyrics, but the messages was that of love, peace, right? To not about hate, right? And at the end of the day, we all need to come together. I don't like and never want us to be in a situation where there's tragedy, right? Whether it be what happened 9/11 or whether it be what happened with like Desert Storm or some of the things like that. You don't want that. But when those things happen, doesn't matter if you're red or blue, left or right, doesn't matter who you are. We as Americans always come together during that time. And then when it's over, we split apart, right?
Amazing how that happens.
Just stay together. And that's really what the message was. And I thought it was a great message. I really did. And then I loved watching the women dance, and I enjoyed that. And
no comment.
Well, you can't.
No.
But even at that, watching the women dance, I will say this, Stevie D. There was a conscientious effort to make sure that it wasn't as risque as I have seen in reggaeton dance. I would tell you the dress and everything else, because boy, oh boy.
So there was no Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake moment.
No. And there was no need to create that, right? That's kind of trying to create the division. Oh, and by the way, a little side note, everybody was saying, well, he's not American. Yes, he spoke Spanish and sang in Spanish. Puerto Rico is a territory. They are U.S. citizens.
Don't think you need a passport to go there or come in from.
We're them. We're all together here. Don't try to change it to create a different narrative. Anyways, that was our halftime show. Now let's go on to our commercials. That absolutely sucked.
It's gone downhill. It's just not. It's we've talked about it so many times. It's not the 80s and 90s commercials that were innovative, great. You didn't want to leave the TV. You went to the bathroom during the game so you wouldn't miss the commercials. And now they've lost it. I don't know what they're doing.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. You would wait because you couldn't wait to see what was next, right? I think the best one was Budweiser, and even at that, I'd give it a C. I've seen better Budweiser commercials. You just kept waiting. You kept waiting. And then once halftime was over, you knew, well, now we're on the cycle of the replays of what we saw in the first half.
Right.
Garbage. And these people are paying big money to these ad execs and these ad firms to come up with these ideas.
It's up to $5 million for 30 seconds. It's some ridiculous number for like 30 seconds worth of TV time.
That's the ad. That's airing the ad. I'm talking about going into the think tank for them to come up with, hey, great idea.
Yeah. Imagine being the executive in the big boardroom that's a mile long and you're getting pitched this commercial and you're signing off on that. And meanwhile, all the people watching are like, what the heck did we just watch? And they just spent $15 million on TV time. Forget how much it cost them to actually make it.
Yes. Horrible. So, a couple things that kind of stood out at the end. So I really was saying that Jason Myers deserved MVP. I know as a realistic sports fan, the only way, Stevie D, he was going to get MVP is if that game was closer and if he had kicked like a 60-yarder or a 65-yarder for the win.
Yeah.
That's the only way that they would have given it.
Honestly, and it's a shame because he set a record for most field goals in a game. He didn't miss any kicks, right? And it's a shame that at the very least he should have gotten co-MVP if he didn't get it by himself. Because I don't know what else you're supposed to do as a what do they call it? A single person contributor. I don't know if that's even a word in football, but as a person that's contributing by himself, what more did he need to do to prove that he was a valuable player or most valuable player? He had 5 field goals and 2 extra points.
Correct. He had more points than the Patriots.
Okay. I don't know what more you can do as a player. Did you ask a player, especially at his position, what more could he have done other than kicking a game winner or breaking a record for the long distance field goal? But at the end of the day, those type of things are a little bit rare, right? Kicking that 60 plus, because you have to be given an opportunity first and foremost, and the likelihood of you getting those opportunities are slim to begin with. I thought he should have got it, and I think it's just favorite. It's going against because he played for the Jets. I'm just going to call it. I'm going to call it. Okay, he's a former Jet, and they don't want to give it to a former Jet. That's what it is, right? It's discrimination against the players that play for the Jets. They probably didn't want to say, "Oh, and Josh Myers, former New York Jet, now Seattle Seahawks MVP." They don't want to do it. I'm just calling it what it is.
Is that why Sam didn't get it either?
Exactly. Well, and that in the 50% completion percentage and some other
See,
things. Thanks. Somebody, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I went on a limb there, so I got validated, so I'm good. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. See? Sure.
Somehow, some way, this guy right there, that guy, always gets somebody into the Hall of Fame. And now he's trying to get somebody as the MVP and building the case.
In fairness, you called it too. He should have been MVP.
He should have.
Yeah.
He should have.
And it's nothing against Kenneth Walker, who had a really good game. To me, if he gets that touchdown on the non-hold call, it's probably, you're not even talking about it. He's hands down, the MVP of the game. He would have over 200 all-purpose yards in the game.
If he catches that ball in the flat,
that's why he should be MVP, and that's why Josh Myers should be MVP.
100%. 100%.
Now, you got to watch it. Sometimes it goes right over the bald head. See, when you have hair, things get caught in the hair and you catch it. But when you're bald, it just goes right over. And so I got what you're saying.
So, to put a bow on this, Kenneth Walker with his MVP goes to Disneyland. And so does Sam.
Oh man, you just shot a hole in my theory of Josh Myers, though. Because they put him, they let the Jet up on the stage.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
Like threw a dart at the balloon and the balloon went flying.
But I thought that was a little odd. Why is Sam there? I'm trying to still trying to figure that out. I'm thinking maybe they had pre-planned for Sam to get the MVP and they didn't expect Kenneth Walker to get it.
You mean somebody misplaced the paper with the script?
Yeah. And they're like, well, we have this reservation for Darnold. Sam, I guess if you want to come, it's still open, and that's how he shows up. But yeah, so that's it. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's not. If the Patriots thought that they weren't going to have some fun at the end of this game, go check your Instagram feed and look under Cardi B and see who she is following. You won't find Stephon Diggs. And if you look at Stephon Diggs' Instagram and see who he's following, you won't find Cardi B.
Well, they've been rumored split for a while now.
Stephon had a rough one, though. Cardi B had a big Super Bowl after party planned for him that she didn't end up showing up to. He didn't show up to.
Wait a minute. She was having a party that she didn't show up to, but threw a party with her own money, and she didn't show.
Yes.
For Stephon, who didn't go to his Super Bowl party.
Because the self-appointed ladies' man, one Mr. Stephon Diggs, who tried to catch up to Travis Henry, decided that he was going to have his other baby mama with his kid sit in the front row.
I thought I saw something like that after the game.
I'm like, bro. Yeah, here's Craig on that one. Yeah, over $1 million spent on that party. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Stefan, what are you doing? What are you doing?
But he broke up with Cardio B. As far as I heard, they were split.
No, not until that night. Not until that night. And then that was it. That was it. So, I've seen the memes. So we were all remember and actually it really has become kind of like an iconic type picture when the Bills lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Confetti's coming down. Diggs is in the background watching the celebration, right? It really has become kind of iconic. But people have kind of changed that up a little bit, and there's Stefan in, his Patriots uniform, right, looking at the confetti coming down at the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. It was a bad night for him. I thought Matt Collins played well.
4 for 78 or 4 for 76 on a touchdown.
I look at Matt Collins a little bit like I look at Tyrod Taylor. And that's where you have some guys that people almost forget about, right? And then we bring them, and I'm not going to say we rehabilitate, but, we bring them to prominence because Matt Collins really was just known as a special teams guy, not looked at as a wide receiver. He was like your number 5 wide receiver, right? Comes to Buffalo and is making plays as a wide receiver. People are like, who is this guy, right?
Yeah.
And he had some clutch catches for Josh, especially down the stretch, that led him to go into get a bigger payday and play a significant role. And I'm very happy for him. He's a funny guy to me. The whole barefoot stuff, right? And he's got his antics. I like him. I think he's a great locker room guy. And so I was happy to see that he had a good game.
The thing about Matt Collins, we've talked about it a few times, especially I know you've brought it up when the first couple of weeks of the season, when he first came to Buffalo, he had some rough games with the hands. And I remember it was like, you got to be kidding me. We're putting this guy in crucial spots and he can't catch the ball. And then it was almost like the light switch, or maybe he put in extra work, or it just maybe the nervousness of coming over to a team that's ready to win. And then all of a sudden it just seemed like his concentration level and his game just got raised up. And by the end of that season, he really was a huge contributor to the Buffalo Bills offense. And probably just like Bills Mafia was shocked that they let him go like that and just let him walk out the door because he was such a big contributor there. And then he went to New England and had some good games. Ooh,
Craig's like TMZ over there. Craig's got all the info. Okay.
On the next episode of OW After Dark, we're going to talk about Stephon Diggs.
Interviews with all the baby mamas. It'll be like Springer or Maury. Stefan, you are the daddy. So, all right. So, Stevie D, that wraps up the 2026 season. And, we had the last coaching hire. And so now it's time to rest for what I think 2.5 weeks, and then the new league year will get started. We'll see what the official cap number will be, see how much money we get to spend. See what changes are going to happen throughout the league. There's a lot of rumors as far as, and this happens all the time right after the Super Bowl, right? Players that are supposedly not going to re-sign magically re-sign. Like we saw the whole Myles Garrett fiasco. I think all 31 teams thought that they had a shot at getting Myles Garrett. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'm going to stay in Cleveland.
At $45 million per season.
Well, yes. So we'll see, right? Because you have Trey Hendrickson. That's back up in the news, right? Where's he going to be? You have Max Crosby. So you have a couple of edge rushers that are out there. You have wide receivers like a Mike Evans who's out there, right? People are talking about where is he going to be? Juwan Jennings, another one that people are talking about. So there's a lot of different players that big names that could be on the move but we really won't know until, kind of you set that cap number, you kind of get a sense of where you are, what you could spend, and then you get through the most important part, especially those that are close to or right up to the cap. It's that whole renegotiation period, right? What players can we extend? Who's going to be able to give us the freedom to try to improve our team in free agency and going forward? So, take a deep breath. Just
I want to caution folks that are listening live or as people watch the show when it's done posted on our pages. Be very careful what you read and where you're getting your content from, um, because there's so much fake posts out there. It's incredible, like heavy, like there's heavy on the Jets, probably heavy on the Bills, heavy on every team, right? So heavy is one of those sites that originally was really good, and now it's all fake. It is absolutely incredible the amount of fake stuff that's out there. Even stuff for your Bills, for my Jets on different pages on Facebook or whatever, or the amount of fake stuff. So just cautionary when you read something. Like I read something today, Joe Namath had brain cancer. What? That the daughter had to come out and say, and did the clip, my father doesn't have brain cancer. Like this is the craziness stuff that's coming out where people are talking about trades it's just not, it's not real data. So definitely you want to check your sources before you read it and say, oh, you get too excited or too low. Validate that it's an actual real source, because a lot of times people just forward those posts out, and it's like you're spreading stuff, and you get excited because, oh my God, we got this player, and then you're like, oh, you got to be kidding me! You mean that was a fake story? So it's just a question. Yeah, Derek. I mean, they're horrible. They're absolutely horrible. So. Look, I know from a Mafia Den to OW Sports to Jets Hangar, we really try and validate through multiple sources before we post anything, because as we look to put content out, we want factual content out there and not spreading fake posts by somebody else.
So actually on Mafia Den, I think I'm ready to post something, a rumor that I heard, Stevie D, and I'm ready to run with it. I haven't checked my sources, but coming out of Maryland, Lamar Jackson is looking to be on the move. He wants to go back to South Florida, and they're talking about a Tua for Lamar trade. You heard it first. You heard it first. It makes sense though, right? It really does make sense where Lamar wants to get away. He was tied to Harbaugh. He wants to get down to Miami. That's where he's from. He goes down there. So
is that from the @real Adam Schefter Twitter account?
That's at We Love You, Craig.
Can you imagine? on April 1st, the trade goes down.
So yeah, no, it's good. So, all right, again, this is our last show of the season, and I I want to start, Stevie D, by giving special thanks to you, my partner in crime. We've been doing this for a long time. We started out audio only, and this guy over here had an idea. We need to live stream. It'll make it so much easier because you guys don't know the pain that it went through when we did the audio only.
Remember how many takes we'd have to do something because we'd mess up?
To that point, what is interesting is you don't make as many mistakes when you do the live stream. We would do the recorded versions and have mistake after, and then you start to think, is that right? And you start second guessing yourself.
How about the long pauses? We had some long pauses in there, and we can't see each other, right? Because it's on audio.
But you were right. You nailed it when you said let's live stream. And so then we looked at some platforms and we jumped into the live stream, and we've just really kind of enjoyed this ride. And what makes it fun is that I get to do it with my man right there, right? That's my brother right there. And we talk, and like we say all the time, when we do this show is like us just sitting at the bar, just talking, right? But now we've invited you into the conversation and it makes it even better, right? I love having shows where we have the interaction and we have people, just the participation and people just putting the comments that they have and what the thoughts that they have. And you respect this show because we said that we're not trying to be like those other jerk offs that are out there, right? Trying to do crazy bits and, trying to get all the clicks and all that. We're just trying to keep it real. Right? That's all it is. We're just talking, we're having a good time, and you guys do that too. Right. And so I'm very thankful. And as we head into season 9, we're looking for some changes, right? We're looking to kind of spice things up. We're also looking to grow. So the brand of OW Sports is kind of on the move, and it's growing. And you're going to see. I guess I'll let the cat out of the bag now, CVD. Right. So we're going to have multiple podcast shows. Right. We're going to have our regular OW Sports, and we'll have a time and schedule. And then there's going to be a podcast that is dedicated for Mafia Den. And then there's going to be a podcast that's dedicated for Jets Hangar, right? So we're going to have 3. What's the difference? OW Sports is going to be all-encompassing, right? All of the NFL. We'll throw in some other sports in there, but it's all on the NFL. It's not going to be like we've done it for so long where it's, half of it is Bills, half of it is Jets, and whatever's left over. We're going to talk about all 32. We're going to talk about the Bryce Youngs of the world. We're going to talk about the Kirk Cousins that are out there, right? We're going to try to dig deep into all of that. And then when you go to Jets Hangar or Mafia Den, then we're going to be specific to the Bills and give you, a full hour, depending on how much I like to talk, give you an hour and a half or 2 hours on the Bills, right? And Stevie D's going to give you that same time on the Jets, right? So we're going to have that. And then we have others that
Uh-oh.
So, there's always one. There's always one. Yes, they will be played. We have to figure out a time for that podcast.
Well, does anybody really want to listen to anything about the Ravens?
Ooh. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
But so and then we've actually contacted some others that want to be part of the OW Sports brand. And if you know anybody out there, especially with some of the other teams now, obviously we're speaking specific to Bills and Jets fans, but with some of the other teams like a Ravens, like a Jaguars or Buccaneers, right? We're growing that network, and we have some that are going to be part of that. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting. And I just like to see the growth, right? The growth has been phenomenal. The things that Stevie D is doing with Jets Hangar is phenomenal. Right. And just, he's actually becoming, what do you call that person, Stevie D? I can't even think of it.
Content creator?
An influencer. He's an influencer. Yes. So he's out there putting his posts out there. He's teaching me, the old man. I'm like, hey, how do I do this thing on this flip phone? I don't know how to do it. Yeah, I'm still playing Snake on this thing. That's the best thing I can do. But he's got some really good posts that are going out there. So it's going to be exciting. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. It's been a great ride for these 8 years, and we look forward to our 9th season.
You said it well. What I'll say is I have enjoyed the eight years so far, and what people don't realize when you do something like this, there's always one person that does most of that work, and that's that man over there that puts in so much time for the podcast, the platform, the creativeness of the intros and the outros, and fine tuning all that. It's amazing how much time and effort that takes to do that. A lot of people think, and it's like in 2 minutes it's done. It is not. It takes several takes, hours upon hours of work to do that. And I never thought you were that creative. You know what I'm saying? And you are so creative. I marvel at it because I've attempted some of these things and it's like an epic fail. I don't know how you get the beat, the words on point. I don't know how you do all that, but you're like maybe because it's in the blood, right? You got DJ Coles,
Ooh, showing
right?
some love to my cousin. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's in the blood, right? And you're like a wizard of that way. It's incredible. The wizardry that you pull off to make all this happen. So
Don't tell him that, because I'll tell him I'm coming for you, DJ Coles.
yeah, he'll probably say, hold my drink here for a second as he spins it, right? So,
Look at my resume of who I'm like, okay, never mind. Stay in your lane, sir. Stay in your lane. I appreciate that. So, Stevie D, that's going to wrap this up. That's going to put a bow on season 8. And again, everybody, we really do appreciate you guys. And normally I would say we'll see you next week. We'll see you in a few weeks. We're going to come back with some good content to start the season. Obviously, we're going to start talking about free agency. We're going to talk about the combine. We're going to talk about the draft, mini camp, mandatory mini camp, the dog days, training camp, and then opening kickoff. So all of that is coming up soon. And please understand, when we say coming up soon, it is coming up soon. All right, that's going to do it. That's going to wrap it up. For my co-host, Stevie D, I'm Vince. We'll talk to you soon.